Hi, this is Wolf from Wolf-Tek with a quick overview of using the Terraballs terraforming kit. I have leveled out an area here. If you've watched the previous videos in this series about using the built-in terraforming tools, then you'll recognise over here is part of the mountain that I was working on. But what I want to do is show you how to create from a flat starting point. How to create a mountain with a lake below it, a little stream, and some space for a stream to come down from the mountain, and a little path and a flat area to maybe put a little meditation temple. And I'm going to do all that in the next less than 15 minutes hopefully, and just using the Terraballs. So at the top here we've got the HUD. I've magnified that up, enlarged that so you can actually see the buttons really clearly on this one. And I'm going to open up and bring out first of all one of the brushes. I'm going to bring out the largest brush, the mega brush, which as you can see is pretty huge. It's like this giant UFO with stalky legs on it. Now the bottom of those are each a single Terraball, and what the brushes are is basically just a collection of them so that you can move that around really easily as one thing. And it's brilliant for creating your starting sort of mountains and general really heavy landscaping. I think before I do anything else I'm going to get myself out of the way, put me on this little mountain path. So I'm going to start out and put my mountain over here. I'm going to overlap it a little with the existing one because I want to create a lake next to it. So we'll still show the purpose, and I want it to be reasonably tall. Okay, so I've put that out and I click the adjust button. Okay, that has pulled all the land up, that's the magic bit, to the level of the metal balls at the bottom. That's the thing to remember with the Terraballs. The metal balls are like the bulldozers. That's where the land will raise to, and it will slightly flatten around those. Okay, so we've pulled it up to there. If we now click the smooth button, it'll start to smooth the edges off it. There we go. Okay, so we've created this large, exaggerated, round mountain. Okay. This is just the beginning. Move it out a little bit, maybe sink it down a fraction, adjust again. So we're getting roughly the sort of outline shape that I want for this mountain. Okay, so I'm going to put that up out the way because I don't want to use it for now, and turn it off. That's the thing with the Terraballs. If you know that you're going to use something again but you don't want it for now, you can just click on it and turn it off. Okay, and it will turn grey. And what I want to bring out now is the small mini brush. Okay, still pretty big, but I'm going to use this to cut away and sort of raise some small areas around it. So I'm going to bury it a little bit into the mountain there and adjust. Now this big one at the top would have also kicked off and pulled everything up if I hadn't turned it off. So do remember, if you're not using something, turn it off. And whatever you do, don't put it over another area that you've already terraformed in case you forget to turn it off. Okay, so we've created this quite artificial looking at the moment, sort of hollow out on that side. I'm going to do the same at a lower level over here, adjust it, and pull it down, lower level over there. What we're doing here is roughly, very roughly marking things out. Okay, adjust that there, and then I'm going to bring this around here and start to create my lake. So I'm going to bury a little bit under the ground and adjust, and over here and adjust. Okay, let's get rid of that one. The reason I kept the big one out is because I want to smooth that all now. So I'm going to bring this out, turn it back on and smooth. Okay, so that rough area we carved out doesn't look artificial anymore. It doesn't even look sort of semicircular anymore. So I've done that. We're going to bring it out over here and smooth. Okay, it's beginning to level that out. It's not quite the effect we want yet, so we do it again. And it's creating, if you like, on this kind of scale, a very precisely controlled sort of erosion effect, giving us a much more natural feel. Okay, I'm going to leave this sharp edge here because I want to put a temple in here. Okay, but we'll come back to that later on. Move it over here. Now you could do this with any size brush, but I'm going to use the large one to make it nice and quick. Okay, taking just those rough edges off and smoothing things out. So just in the space of doing this, I'm not spending anywhere near the effort I would doing this properly. It's really just a quick tutorial. So just remove that. So we have our rough mountain here joining onto our other one. A couple of sort of spikes and things. Now you've got a little sort of spike there which we don't want, so let's bring out the mini brush and pop it on the top of there and smooth that out. Okay. Still got a little bit of a ridge. There we go. Okay, so we've created our mountain and our lake over here. Let's lower that a little bit more, make it a bit wider. Just smooth. Okay, so that's our beginnings. Now, one of the other things we said we wanted to do, or I said I wanted to do, is create a stream. So now I'm going to start bringing out those individual Terraballs. I'm going to work with the small ones because I want to create a very narrow, fine-looking sort of a stream. So, and these are like the brushes, but they're individual and they have the red ball on top. So again, you can turn them on and off. So I want to create a stream winding down into here. So again, get the metal ball at the ground level that you want to aim for. So around about there, to be about the same as the pond. And then all I'm doing is just shift and drag to create copies of that. Okay, space them out roughly the same height, so the same distance between them as the height rather. It doesn't have to be a precise thing, but if you put them too far apart you'll end up with gaps, and if you put them too close together they will interfere with each other. So let's have it winding little stream so that maybe it's coming down from that mountain over there. Okay, and adjust, and there we have our stream sort of coming along, and we'll just smooth it out to get some of those edges off and make it a bit more natural looking. Okay, and let's open it up a little bit at the mouth here, maybe sort of that. We get kind of a winding effect coming in, and adjust. And this is the nice thing about the Terraballs, you get to add, play with it, tweak it. Okay, you can turn some of them off. If you're happy with what they've done and you don't want them to adjust anymore, you can turn them off. So we can turn some of these off. This is where the all and none buttons come in. I could say none and then pick some that I wanted, or I could say all and then unselect the ones that I don't want. Okay, and then when we're happy, so adjust again and smooth. You can see the back ones aren't doing anything anymore. So adjust, smooth. Okay, it's only the ones that are switched on. And then we finish with that bit, so we'll clear it. Okay, next thing we want to do is make the preparations to bring sort of a cascade, a waterfall down into this. So again, we are going to bring out the Terraballs, but this time I'm going to bring out the tall ones. So you have small and medium in terms of the effect. Those are the small ones. If you wanted a wider effect, you'd use the medium size ones. The brushes use the medium size ones. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tall ones. So I'm going to use the small tall Terraball, as I've called it. Now this one has the same range effect as the small ones I used to do our stream, but it's way taller. It's like a big acupuncture needle. Okay. Now the reason for this is what I want to do is cut quite a long way into the side of the mountain. Now we'd either lose the Terraball if we tried to do that with a regular height one, but with these we can actually sink them in a little bit and see what we're doing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy out a trail of these coming down the mountain like that. So we'll just get them all sort of in place to start with for where our waterfall will come cascading down the side of the mountain. There's lots of places you can get sort of kits for actually making the moving water for the waterfall. There's some very good sort of sets of water prims and things like that. Julia Hathor's place, or Haythor's place, she's got a brilliant sort of mountain waterfall kit making thing, which I've used on some of our other sims. Okay, so we've got a sort of a winding path down, but it's all at the same level. So what I'm going to do now is work out where I want the bottom one to come down to. So bring that down to, say, there, a little bit underground, because we want it to come down into the water. In fact, we'll drag one more out to adjust that down nice and cleanly down to the sort of water level. And then we know where we started and we know where we want to end up, so it's just a case, I'm zoomed out quite a long way because I've got so many windows open, so it's just a case of sort of bringing those down and spreading out that descent, sort of evening it out. And because we've got such long needles, all we need to worry about is looking at the red balls on top. You see? Like that. Bring that down. Oh, it's sort of steepish at the start. So we've got our descending path cut into the mountain there. Let's move that first one out a little bit, get them more evenly spaced. So we've got our descending path that we're going to put those lovely waterfall prims into on the way down. You can see they're buried very, very deeply in the mountain there, that one. You wouldn't be able to do that with the shorter ones, which is why the longer ones exist. One of the two videos that follows on from this, which I highly recommend watching, shows you how to cut a path through a mountain. It creates a very natural looking sort of gorge that you walk through, and it's all about using these. So, right, we've got them in place, and adjust. Now when we come around this side of the mountain, you can see that we've got a natural sort of a spring or whatever you decide to have at the top. You've got that gap in the mountain all the way down to put your water prims in, to follow all the way down to the bottom. So all we do is smooth it out a fraction. Oh, too much. In this case, probably wouldn't smooth it at all, actually. You could smooth it by hand or make these slopes less steep, which would get a much better effect, but in this case with the prims I think I'm actually going to leave that as it is and clear them out. And there we have it. We have our mountain with our flat spot over here that we could flatten out even more using one of the brushes. Let's put one of the brushes out here just to bring this area that we're going to put our house into and adjust it. So we've got our plateau area there and our mountain and a lake and a stream coming into it, all done with the Terraballs kit. I hope that gives you an idea of how to use them. Do go on to follow with the other two videos, one which covers the narrow little pathway around a mountain, which would be pretty much impossible to do with the built-in tools. There we go, there's a path going up, winding up the side of the mountain. That's all done with the Terraballs. Okay, and another one which shows you how to cut that little pathway through there, very similar to what we just did, but a bit more detail. Okay, and that's it. That's the Terraballs kit and how to use it to terraform your land. A very quick, rough example. Thanks for listening.